Shalom. This is a story about a friend of mine, Diana, and I when we traveled together for a weekend. A little background first. In April of 1990, I started working at Wayne State University in Detroit, Michigan. I was director of a parenting project that conducted parenting classes in 8 public health centers. I knew very little about parenting. I had no children at the time, but I did have a set of parents. So I hired parenting experts and I took care of the planning, the budgets, and managing staff. While there at the university, I became fast friends with a cartographer, that's a map maker, whose real passion was art. Diana painted and she built sculptures from found objects. She was white, non practicing Catholic, and she was married to a white, non practicing Jew. And she and Stuart and me and Floyd, we were all fast friends and we went many places together. And during her spare time, Diana was a contest junkie. She was always entering contests and frequently winning things like trips to events, dinners, and small appliances. Okay. And during this phase of my life, I traveled quite a bit and accumulated frequent flyer points. Whenever I invited Diana to travel with me, she jumped at the chance to go and visit the art museums in other cities and just for us to spend some time together because the trips always turned out to be an adventure. Okay. One spring, I was invited to make a presentation to a group of parenting professionals in Lexington, Kentucky. I invited Diana to go with me, and my husband, Floyd, felt he could better spend his time working and making money than going with me to listen to a day of speeches or spend a day in the hotel waiting for me to come back to return from the conference. So when Diana and I arrived in Lexington, we just happened to be staying at the hotel that was a pre-concert party for Hank Williams Jr. All right. Our eyes perked up, not about Hank Williams Jr., but when we saw the sign that said free food and contest. Okay. Couldn't have got any better. And that was across the banner across the front of the hotel. We immediately planned to join the festivities that evening and get the free snacks and enter the contest to win a free steak dinner for two. Okay. So the presentation I made at the parenting conference, it was well received, and Diane visited the art museum, and then we met back at the hotel for the free food. Okay. Before we left the room to join the party in the lobby, Diana's cap on one of her teeth fell off, and it was a tooth that would show when you smiled. Okay, we had to do something because it was Friday night and no dentist would be open, and besides that, we would miss the free food. All right, so after 30 seconds of hard thought, I said, "I got nail glue." Diana didn't miss a beat. She said, "Okay, get it." So I used my nail glue to tack it back, and I was incredibly careful not to use too much glue or to drip any of it in her mouth and risk gluing some parts of her mouth together. Okay. When we reached the lobby, it was packed with folks who had been partying and drinking since the announcement of Bocephus is coming to town. All right. Now I wasn't into country music, and neither was Diane, but we was into the free food and the contest. Okay. Well, we blended in the best we could. Diana may have looked a bit country, you know, just a little bit, but I was the only black person in the room. And the room was full of folks in jeans, and many with suspenders on the jeans and wearing T-shirt with Hank picture on it with a bigger than life size photo on it. We went straight to where? The free food. Okay. Now, the first contest that they announced was racing mice. Yeah, I said mice, M-I-C-E. Okay. Remember that these are show enough country folks. Okay. Now, the raceway was a long rectangle box with three long sections, parallel to the sides. And the mice were each in a separate section. The contestants had to get their mice from the rear of the box to the front of the box by calling and pleading with the mice. Okay, so we decided that I would enter the contest. Diana was a bit on the shy side. I've never known shy in my life. Okay, my mother would take me somewhere and she would tell me before we left home, she said, Sharon, that this, I'm like 3, 4, 5 years old. Sharon, we're not going to talk to anybody. Okay, so don't be talking to strangers out in the street. Okay, we get on the bus, and I just couldn't help it. Hi, lady. Hi, lady. You doing? All right. So anyway, my mouse was in the lead. I got so excited about winning that I screamed when my mouse was about 10 inches from the finish line. The mouse heard me yell, looked up at me, eyeball to eyeball, and then turned around and ran in the opposite direction. I was in disbelief and disgusted with myself. And Diana kept reminding me how close we had come to that steak dinner for two. All right, next was the karaoke contest. I couldn't persuade Diana to sing with me or even be a backup singer. I had never heard her sing, so I don't know if she could sing or it was just mostly shyness. But I know I couldn't sing. But a karaoke contest to make up my dismal performance with the mice, I was all in. Okay, now, like I said, I couldn't sing. I had never been able to sing. And when I was in college, in a sorority, we often did line dances where the whole sorority would sing and dance before loud crowds. However, the music director came to me early in my sorority career and asked me to just mouth the words, okay, and not let a sound come out of my mouth. That freed me from the pressures of trying to sing and probably brought relief to my sorors, especially the ones who were trying to stay on key, standing next to me on either side of me. So, in order to psych myself into this preposterous singing role, first I figured that the liquor had dulled some of the crowd's hearing, so I might not sound too bad, okay? Second, if I was the first contestant, they would go easier on me because I would be setting the standard, okay? If I couldn't be first, I wouldn't sing because if a halfway singer got up before me, I was doomed to be booed off the stage. So I had to be first, okay? Third, if I picked a song that didn't have too much harmonizing, maybe I could get away with it, okay? While I sat there trying to think of what song to sing, I knew that the crowd would like I had to think about what the crowd would like, okay? But I didn't know any country songs. It had to be a song I knew well enough to take my eyes off the monitor for a brief period of time, to be able to look at the crowd and do whatever else I was going to do. And I figured I need as much eye contact with the crowd as possible, and dancing would help the performance greatly. Now, what song? What artist? Definitely not a ballad where the vocals were accentuated. And it had to be a crossover artist, somebody that everybody knew and loved, but the record had to be easy enough for me to know the tune and had been popular enough to me to know the words by heart. Okay. Also, it couldn't be a beloved country artist that I would hack up singing so bad, and out of respect for the artist, they would boo me off the stage. Okay. So that automatically eliminated Hank Williams Jr., his daddy, which I didn't know any of their songs except for the opening line, "Are you ready for some football?" On Monday nights. It also eliminated Patsy Cline, Loretta Lynn, and Dolly Parton. Okay, so as I thought, it came to me. Okay. No sooner than I had the brilliant idea, the announcer called for the first karaoke contestant to come up to the stage. I shot up to the stage like a bolt of light because I had to be first. Okay. I knew the crowd thought that I could sing because I went up there so quick they had to. I was also aware that the crowd probably thought they were in for a treat because the only black in the crowd would grace them with some show enough, get down, soul country singing. Felt like a true performer. I waved to the crowd as I walked to the stage and ascended the steps. They were wild with yelling because these people were half drunk anyway. They were wild with yelling and clapping, and I was just loving my moment of fame. The last thoughts that went through my mind as I headed up on the stage was, I don't know any of these people. They don't know me, and I'll probably never see them again in my life. So now I was free from the shackles of reality and I entered into my stage life. Okay. The announcer handed me the mic and asked, "Well, what are you singing?" I firmly grabbed the mic, stomped my foot, and looked at my adoring crowd and shouted into the mic, Aretha Franklin, respect. Okay. The whole room pulsated with cheering and yelling, and I was engulfed with their intoxicating love, adoration, idolizing. Then the intro to the song began. I started moving across the stage. I threw in some of the Temptations' hand movements and the Pips' foot movements, and then the words started. I had psyched myself up so much. I believed I could sing. Okay. They kept yelling. I danced even harder. I made eye contact. They rose to their feet. I pointed at individuals in the crowd. I put my hands on my hips and I sung the lyrics. Show me my propers when you get home. Then I slapped myself on the chest to add for the emphasis. Okay, it was a maddening crowd, and I was even madder. I was insane. I was a singer I had dreamed of being a long time ago. I was a conductor of this revelry, and I loved it. When I walked off the stage, they were still yelling for more. If I was at Carnegie Hall, I would have been compelled to do at least two encores. Okay. Actually, I came in second place. I was flying in second heaven all the way home on the airplane, even though I only won a baseball cap. My performance was all Diana and I could talk about. When I arrived home, I was excited, describing the event to Floyd, who couldn't believe, first of all, that his no singing wife could even think of entering a singing contest and then win second place. Well, my evidence was a karaoke tape they gave me of my performance. Oh, by the way, the guy that won first, he was singing Two Doors Down. They singing and laughing or something like that, one of them country songs, okay? Or he was either that or um, All My Exes Live in Texas. So that's why I hang my hat in Tennessee. I think that's what he was singing. And the person in third place was Two Doors Down, okay? So now I've got this karaoke tape that they gave me. So Floyd didn't believe me. And so I'm so high on this. I just know. I said, well, I'm going to put this in and so you can hear. Okay. And this was my first time hearing it when I played it for him. When the music started, I was explaining my dancing on stage and I'm, performing right there in the living room for Floyd so he can see and Floyd can hear the crowd. Then we heard my nose singing and mostly hollering all the way through it. The evidence spoke for itself. I was terrible. Aretha and her followers had enough evidence on the tape to sue me for defamation of character. It really did. Boy just covered his eyes and shook his head and said, those people had to be stone drunk for you to come in second place. All right. Moral of this story. Okay. Here's a quote that I found from Susanna Wesley. If you would judge of the lawfulness or the unlawfulness of pleasure, then take this simple rule. Whatever weakens your reason, impairs the tenderness of your conscience, obscures your sense of God, and takes of the relish of spiritual things, and takes off the relish of spiritual things, that to you is sin. All right. And for sure, that tape was evidence that be sure your sins will find you out. And that's in Numbers 32:23. Thanks for laughing along with me. I hope you were laughing because I sure did all the way through this, just a memory of it. But please remember to like and share. And if you haven't, please subscribe. Shalom.